anything or anything that's kind of pause for a second, because there may be a couple of those.
Right. It's 5:14. Give me 1 minute.
4 more seconds.
Because there's really hard there, and I live in I was coming back. The river.
You're all going to be fine because you're right there by the line. I'll get those two.
Yeah, my son's got a game.
I'd like to call the Maysville Board of Commissioners Thursday, February 23rd to order, please. We will begin with our invocation. Reverend Burke.
Dear God, we come to you today, Lord, as a community of elected officials, administrators, and citizens. God, seeking your guidance and wisdom in everything we do. Lord, we pray for your presence to be with us as we gather together. May we have open hearts and minds to hear and to understand each other. We ask that you would grant patience and empathy and humility to work together towards the common good. Lord, we also pray for your blessings on our city and its residents. God, may you pour your grace and mercy on us, protecting us from harm, and guiding us towards a future filled with hope and opportunity. God, finally, we lift up our leaders and all those in positions of authority. We pray that you would give them the wisdom, courage, and strength to lead with integrity and compassion, always seeking to serve those whom they represent. We ask all this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, who taught us to love one another as you have loved us. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Burke. Commissioner Victor McKay is joining this evening by Zoom, so I ask everybody to speak up so that he might be able to hear. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Here.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am.
City Manager Wallingford?
Here.
City Attorney Cottle?
Here.
Controller Stanfield?
Here.
HR Director Rose?
Here.
Project Coordinator Horde?
Here.
Public Works Director Truesdale? Police Chief Palmer?
Here.
Fire Chief Doyle?
Here.
Planning Administrator Larger?
Here.
Building Inspector Fawcett?
Here.
Codes Officer Brooks?
Here.
Tourism Director Bailey? Main Street Director Reese?
Make note that Luke is here
Yeah, Luke. Yeah, Dennis
for public
is out
works.
today.
Thank you. Also, joining us this evening is Mason County Judge Executive Owen McNeil. Are there any public announcements? No?
Yeah, she's part of the staff.
I don't see Joe.
Right here.
Right here.
Right here.
Joe.
Jody Ashford.
I thought he said Joe,
Oh.
and she is not Joe. And also joining us this evening is Mason County Industrial Development Authority Executive Director, Jody Ashley. Welcome, Jody. Closed session pursuant to KRS 61.8101B, deliberation of future acquisitions of real property and discussion which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am.
Penny, Kelly, David. And just say you're heavy to carry back.
That's all.
Write that down.
And then so, right before dusk, you have your cricket reverberate sound, everything, go back to work.
I would never so happy to get away from Braves, get back on that ship. Because they're pushing the ship. And Braves are leaving it. They're both. That's awesome.
The Rockwood,
Just kind of altered. As far as mobile, couple nights. When they were allowed to sit.
we can finish in 3 or 4
So they
days.
were all so their ship was across the river from the ship.
We'll be there all summer.
One of the guys was sitting
Are you going down to college after
Let's
this?
go to another one.
I am now working. No, no, bloke, you gotta go.
Hey, Sean, does this mean I'm not getting enough broadband? This keeps going yellow instead of red. Am I not getting enough broadband signal?
Probably.
Is there anything you can do about that?
It's AT&T, no, unfortunately.
They've been horrible lately.
The entire AT&T backbone's been horrible lately. Limestone cable suffered as a result. All of my AT&T clients have been complaining. Outages, slow speeds, all this stuff.
Yeah.
I had a Zoom meeting yesterday from my house, and I have 100 megabit limestone cable connection at my house. I could barely do the Zoom meeting. And it's a limestone cable. It's AT&T's got issues.
Right. It's ridiculous. It's not like they don't have enough money to fix this.
AT&T doesn't care.
No. No, they don't.
There's a lot of things I want to
Crappy service.
Yeah. Hopefully that's changing. Thanks to local government. Spectrum should be, Spectrum's building out, so, it'll be a couple years before it's done.
I can't wait, I'm getting tired of being, having $15. I'm tired of having $15 stolen from me every month.
Oh, yeah, Chrissy hates that too, but, in downtown, you got AT&T and, Limestone cable. AT&T caps their bandwidth at 16 megabit. That's it, that's all you're gonna get. I can run faster now. So, and I'm old and fat. So, yeah, it's, hopefully this will come to fruition. Absolutely.
Well, at least you can play your Atari without.
Well, what's terrible
I'm
is,
rocking the
is
Atari.
even the cell service is crappy. I mean,
That would be me.
and why?
Amanda would not have slowed down. She would just-
Actually, this weekend, it's supposed to be rainy, I guess, but I'm gonna crank up, the 12 5.25-inch floppy disks full of Commodore 64 games that I have. And play some Commodore 64 on a 32-inch monitor.
I still have my noise. I had to stay.
The graphics would be phenomenal.
That's a good one too.
2 or 3 things to do over here.
That was the longest press.
I just got an Atari 2600 in, and I've been playing on it a little bit.
CJ.
It's my last one, I can't have it anymore.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
What were you going there for?
I went the first.
I don't know why the signal is so bad down here. My mom could get a better AT&T signal on top of the hill in Lewis County than we can downtown.
You know,
Is there
earlier,
equipment?
it was, I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week, I actually went off of data onto the wireless here and got a better connection. Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
Just 2 or 3 events through the year they have there, so.
Yeah.
It's not there, but I really don't know anybody.
The only reason I stayed with AT&T is because they gave me a.
It's that region, so like, we have fire school here for the Buffalo Trace region, they have one there for Green River region, so.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like, why do you have to go there?
I don't, I mean, it's more for networking,
Red
more,
work.
it's just like a conference.
Yeah, okay.
She, I mean, it was like, look like that. Yes.
I like doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like going to there. How are you?
She is an old,
What's the closed session is waiting for the agenda? Okay. All right, thank you.
Sean, do you want my old iPads? It's like
Hard to say, hard to say.
I've been told that, my vintage computer collection is complete. Okay.
Oh, I thought you snuck out for a minute, Nicole. I thought you snuck out there for a minute.
Probably more than I should have. 40-year-old.
Yeah.
I'll give you a heck of a deal.
I'm like,
I've got a 1 and a 2.
I thought you did one of those here.
Throw them away.
Yeah, I'll probably recycle it the next time we have another Although I remember getting it.
Well, because
Keyboard for one.
Is this your
It
phone?
should still work for
Yeah, but.
no, they have to vote on property.
I'm John Taylor.
Well, I found out over the weekend that I've got a sound bar for the TV, and apparently Roku TVs don't have Bluetooth.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I would be buying another
Yeah,
Roku.
but it was tough.
I got
It was
a
hard.
Roku
It
soundbar.
was a tough part.
It is amazing.
That's hard.
Absolutely amazing.
You need to get
It has all the Roku stuff built into it. I love it. Love it. Don't even have to wear hearing aids to watch TV. It's great. Christy sits out in the lawn.
See, we just closed caption everything. Because you know, when the trains go by in the summer, you can't hear unless you have, so I just closed caption, you know. It's just
We're watching this Canadian show called Letterkenny. On,
I love that
Hulu.
show.
It is hilarious,
It
but
is.
they speak like they from Ontario, which they are from Ontario.
Yeah.
It's a whole different dialect. So about the second episode, I'm like, honey, can you understand a word? Or, no, not really. So it's all closed captioned now. So now I go home and read my TV.
Yeah. It's like British movies and British comedies. It takes 3 or 4 viewings before you really get it all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
And if they're doing Cockney slang, then it's like.
This is for the rest of my career.
There's a show on Netflix called Vikings of Valhalla, and it's really good. But it cracks me up because these are Finns and Danes, right?
So.
But they all have British accents.
So like 10 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess what a Finnish accent
Because
sounds
when
like.
you're British, you think that, you know, everybody speaks like
It just sounds like,
you know.
yeah.
Well, for about 100 years, the Vikings controlled a significant portion of Great Britain.
It is showed, yeah. In fact, the king of England is a Viking
Whatever.
in the show.
So it goes through the whole thing. So
No.
you watch it, he died.
Absolutely historically accurate, but
I
you
said,
know,
you
it was
gotta
Game
watch
of
this
Thrones.
Well, that's just fantasy. That's not
Right.
Yeah, with the dragons and everything.
You watched it, you watched the whole thing.
I still haven't watched that.
No, he laughed. He laughed.
Okay, I'll give you a great show to watch that'll crack you up and make you cringe at the same time. It's on Hulu. It's called Brockmire. Brockmire.
Is that the one with?
It's Hank Azaria.
Yeah, Hank Azaria.
So Hank Azaria has voiced 4, 5, 6 different characters on the Simpsons forever. He has a great
This name.
broadcaster voice. And he plays a baseball announcer, Major League Baseball announcer, whose wife cheats on him and he walks in on her doing it. And so the opening episode is him announcing a live Major League Baseball game, drinking just pounding whiskey. And then he starts calling his wife everything, son, and it just goes off, has an epic meltdown. It's the first episode. Epic meltdown. They're trying to beat the door in, get in to get him off the air. They finally do. loses his job, and then the rest of the show, and it's like 6 seasons, is him kind of building himself back up, and he's a horrible drug addict and alcoholic, carousing around. He's not a Boy Scout, that's for sure.
Gee, you can't
It's
imagine why his wife
hilarious.
might have cheated on him.
Rockmire. It is. It's my comic relief when I'm done with Letterkenny and Vikings.
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
What?
What We Do in the Shadows?
I haven't seen it.
It's funny. It's really funny. It's about vampires. They live on Long Island. It's really funny.
We're all vampires.
And then there's like the spin-off is what's it called? But it's set in New Zealand, and it's these cops in New Zealand that like are encountering vampires and all this stuff, but they're like so clueless. They're like, wow, he must really be Traven. So funny. Yeah. Yeah, he's behind both of those.
They've taken my car off the top of it.
We got HBO Max just so that we could watch Our Flag Means Death, which he's in.
He's down on my desk. Because Thursdays I go
I'm lucky. The only streaming service I have, I pay for Prime. My brother-in-law lets me just use all.
That's not going to last for long.
No. And
because they're all changing that.
Right. But
for that reason. The thing is, if you use a VPN, they'll think that you're doing the same thing. Like, well, I'm just going to have to get rid of all that stuff.
So Mayor, we can 5. You can scratch 5. So we're gonna scratch 2311, Kelly.
I would entertain a motion to bring us back into session.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay? Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing the purchase of property, 2312.
Resolution authorizing purchase of 2.84 plus or minus acres in Maysville, Mason County, Kentucky, known as the Maysville Train Depot. Be it resolved by the City of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the real estate purchase and sale agreement for 2.84 plus or minus acres known as Maysville Train Depot, Maysville, Kentucky, for a price of $120,000, and to execute any and all documents, including a deed, necessary for the closing of this transaction.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Discussion, Maysville water tank.
Hey, Dad, come up here. So about 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we discovered a leak at the water tank out on 324, out on Helena Road. We got a hold of Allied Pump, who came in and did a quick temporary patch on the tank. And I'm going to turn it over to David and let him fill you in on what we need to do, and Penny, going forward.
Well, the temporary patch they did is probably like a 4 to 8 week fix, and they've got a recommendation to come back in and do a little more work on it, on the inside of the tank. And part of that will be too is to clean out some of the sediment that's in the bottom of it. It's kind of been neglected over years, and there's different ways they used to set tanks up where you had to go in and manually clean it out, but now they have valves and certain things that you can actually go in and flush that out, which that's part of a quote that will come to, that something that probably needs to be done with this tank. But basically, that's kind of where it's at until we get our booster pump station put in at Helena. That's just what we need to do with this tank. Once we get that in, we'll be able to maintain water flow all over the southern end of Maysville where there were some problems before. So that's why we would like to go ahead and do these repairs, the simple repairs, and get that taken care of. And then put the booster station in, which is scheduled in May, probably, by the time it gets in. Then we can actually bypass this tank with that pump station and keep everybody in water while we are actually repairing it the way it needs to be repaired. But they have a quote to repair the tank right now is at $79,000. And that is to go inside, sandblast it, clean it, then epoxy it. It's 2 coats of paint, primer, epoxy paint. But you're looking at the thing being out of service for probably 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks while that's doing it. So that's one of the reasons we think it's critical to have that pump station in. But this is something that probably we need to go ahead and get taken care of.
What would you like to add that we do while we're in there?
I mean, my thoughts was while we were doing it, go ahead and do the outside as well. That's all internal fixing, get the outside looking well, and get the painting done on the outside as well. To go ahead and include that. So I think really what we need is, a motion to proceed with bidding out this project. We can bid it both ways with and without the exterior. And so we can at least get this process going. It's probably not gonna hit our budget until next fiscal year, but we want authorization to go ahead and bid it so we can get the ball rolling. Otherwise, we're gonna be, after we get the pump station and waiting, doing the wait game. We can kind of get ahead.
And there was a tank inspection report done in November on that tank, which it listed some of the critical repairs. Of course, there was a little bit of rusting and stuff up there. It wasn't leaking, but it was probably seeping at that time. So it kind of lists all that in there, and with that, the $79,000 bid will probably list some of the critical repairs, which are not. It's not real expensive. The main expense is going to be the inside and painting the outside.
So you need a specific motion?
No.
Just a motion?
I think,
Go ahead.
Just a-
Sorry, Kelly.
I just think, just tell them to go ahead. I don't think it needs to be done by motion. Just
Okay.
say,
Okay.
we go ahead and move forward with getting bids for the project.
You got a question?
Yeah, isn't there a dedicated line for filling that
Yeah,
comes all the way from the airport road, that area?
but there's no way to bypass that tank.
Well, I know, but is there
It's
any
through-
way to hook that onto the big line at any point? There's not. You're gonna keep that 2-inch line out there. Okay.
Well, eventually, when we do work and repairs and do different things out there, we're going to try to bypass that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Victor, you got any questions, bud?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So everybody's good with us to proceed? All right, great. Thanks, Dave. Good job.
Discussion, non-exclusive franchise agreement.
I placed a copy of a proposed non-exclusive franchise agreement with Charter Spectrum in your mail bin, and I emailed one to Commissioner McKay. Kelly and I have gone back and forth with a representative from Charter on this. As you're aware, we do have a non-exclusive agreement with Limestone Cable. They had, and Kelly, you chime in, what I saw is some minor requests in here. One was that they didn't have to have a local office. The other had to deal with service to public institutions. One of the things that Kelly and I originally talked about, and the mayor brought it up earlier today, was if we could draft one ordinance that covered anybody that wanted to do a cable franchise. Kelly, what's your thoughts on that? Or do you think they need to be separate, or could we draft one that would cover everybody? For example, when it talks about local office and it says the grantee shall maintain an office in the city, the grantee may contain an office in the city.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I don't think we have to specifically name who we're granting. Well, I don't know. It's a franchise
Yeah,
agreement.
Penny, any thoughts on that?
I think
Because
we
it is
do
a
have to-
franchise.
So you're saying just like a blanket?
A blanket, yeah.
That's, I mean, I think that makes way more sense than doing a specific one
Okay.
to me.
Well, my thoughts were that we were consistent across the board with whomever might apply, that we had one ordinance that would cover. And then we're not favoring this one with something specific and this person with something specific, but a general.
Is that just an old ordinance that
It is.
requires you to have an office here?
It is, yes. It is.
Yeah.
So my thought on that is I think we have to name who's going to come in and provide the service. But I agree with you. We can make it uniform. And then if a third
You
party.
just add it, kind of like with the banks that we utilize for investments. We could just add them in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we have to, because there's a lot of RUS money out, rural utility service money out there for infrastructure, and so another entity could come in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's non-exclusive. Anybody can
That's
come
right.
in. Yeah, it's a non-exclusive
And I
agreement.
think we want to welcome anybody.
Oh, sure, we want capitalism.
Okay.
We just wanted to let you know where we are, and if you had any questions on that, we'd be glad to answer it. But Kelly and I can sit down, and with Penny's input, we could see if we could come up with a general ordinance that is applicable to anybody that would want to be here.
Sounds good.
Is that good? Mayor, if you don't care, let's see, Commissioner, we got 10 minutes. Would you care to go to item number, if Sean will sit still for just a minute, we'll get to you. If you'll go to item number 17, Kelly, if you don't care, it's a resolution authorizing the acceptance of ambulance bid, if that's all right with you. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Resolution authorizing acceptance of ambulance bid 23-16.
Okay. So do you want to have discussion first?
You want to kind
If that
of,
makes it easier for
Yeah.
you, because Mayor and Commissioners, we had left that open because we were kind of concerned about which direction we were gonna go. So, I think I've reached out to all of you this week. I think there's pretty much a consensus, but for the purposes of the meeting, I'll explain. We got two bids, one being $232,550, which again, Kelly will read this, and one being $262,450. I will say that the lower of the two bids is a remount, so it's not necessarily a completely new truck. It is a new chassis with basically a used patient compartment. We have purchased those in the past and had pretty good luck with them. There are a few issues that are caused by those at times that would be different than maybe a new truck, but for the most part, they've been okay. I will say that this particular company that bid, we've never used before, and I'm not familiar with them, but from what I can tell online, they seem like they would probably be a reputable company. On the other hand, the more expensive option is a new truck, which is what we originally talked about putting out for bid anyway. That's what we assumed we were going to do when we discussed this in the budget. So it is about $30,000 higher, but it is a brand new truck, brand new patient compartment, and it is a company that we've used multiple times. So with that said, and after some of the discussion we've had this week, I'm going to tell Kelly that my recommendation for that resolution is going to be to go with that new truck option.
Do you need a motion?
Now let me read it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know which one Kevin was going to recommend. It's pen care.
Hey, Matt,
yes, sir.
he was kind of breaking up. Which one are we going with here?
Well, Chief Doyle wants to recommend the new vehicle, not the remount, the one from PennCare.
Great.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Kelly's going to read the ordinance now.
A resolution awarding bid for ambulance, whereas the city of Maysville advertised for bids in accordance with plans and specifications as follows. A, 2022 ambulance. B, advertised on January 27, 2023. C, bid opening on February 7, 2023. Whereas the following bids were received. 1, R Enterprises, LLC, for a remount option, $232,550. 2, Pin Care, a new truck, new option, $262,450. Whereas the city manager and fire chief have recommended the acceptance of the second bid, now therefore be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky as follows. 1, the bid of Pin Care in the sum of $262,450 for the ambulance described above is hereby accepted on behalf of the city of Maysville. 2, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed forthwith to execute all contractual documents necessary or appropriate to effectuate acceptance of said bid and to consummate the contract on behalf of the city of Maysville.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartmel?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am.
I got Vic. I got a few more minutes with you. Is there anything else you'd like me to go to while I've got you?
No, I'm really good.
Okay.
I didn't get, everybody was breaking up a little bit on that franchise. Are we going to be discussing that, or can I stop in and discuss that with you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What we're going to do is we're going to work on an ordinance that would be applicable to anybody who comes in and anybody existing now, so that we have one blanket ordinance. And then if we have anybody new, we just add them to the ordinance.
Okay, I'll stop by.
Okay, that sounds good.
Bye.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go back to where we are.
Mr. George, you will come forward.
Up here, Sean. Oh. Mayor, he's on that side.
We can go round and round if you want.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you, Sean George, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky as long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of Codes Enforcement Board Meeting according to law? And do you further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you, being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within the state nor out of it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Welcome to the team.
Thanks, Sean.
If y'all care, I'm gonna exit stage left.
Hold on 1 second.
Signature.
Okay.
We don't get to vote on you?
You already did.
He's already what they
What did you say, you were existential?
There's a lot of things they say about me.
Thanks for serving, Sean.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
See you.
Mayor, I scratched one item on your, you'll see it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, man,
Yes, sir.
I hate to bother you, but I'm gonna have to get off here and get down. I gotta run down the hall, so.
Sounds good. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Good luck tonight.
A lot of excitement out here, people. You have to come out to the field house.
Thanks, Vic.
Thank you. See you guys.
See you, buddy.
Next item, the nomination of Yvonne Perry to serve on the Commission of Human Rights and to fill the unexpired term of Mike Thomas. His term expires in March the 9th of 25. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartmel?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Appointment Water Distribution System Laborer.
The memo from the utility manager. The utility department currently has a vacancy for a water distribution system laborer. After careful consideration, I have recommended that Cody Fetters be appointed as our new water distribution system laborer. Cody has relevant job experience in the past that gives him necessary skills to excel in this position. He has a solid work ethic and has met all the hiring requirements for the city of Maysville. I respectfully ask that Cody Fetters be appointed as our new water distribution system laborer. I feel he will be successful and greatly benefit the utility department as a whole.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second if I want to ask a question.
Mhm.
So is he just gonna be a laborer, or is he gonna take water?
He's just a laborer. He's just a
Tell me
laborer
that
right
again.
now. Now, that doesn't mean that he
He
can't.
can't Do it.
Yeah, exactly. He sure
You
can.
want him.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am.
We're skipping.
Appointment, fire department.
We're skipping 12.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, Mayor.
Memo from Fire Chief Doyle. Lacey Mitchell has been working for us as a part-time EMT for several months. She has proven to be a reliable employee, and I've received 0 complaints regarding her work. Lacey has been working towards her goal of becoming a firefighter EMT for Maysville Fire Department and is eager for a chance at full-time employment. After discussing options with the Kentucky Fire Commission auditors, I am recommending that Lacey is hired as a full-time EMT with the intent of transitioning to firefighter EMT once her requirements are fulfilled with the Kentucky Fire Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Another appointment, fire department.
Memo from Fire Chief Doyle. As previously discussed, Derek Doyle has completed the requirements for full-time employment with the Maysville Fire Department. Derek has more than 2 decades of firefighting experience with more than 17 years as a Kentucky career firefighter and EMT. Derek is excited to transition to the Maysville Fire Department, and I believe his presence will be a huge asset to our department and city. With that, I'm recommending that Derek Doyle is hired as a full-time firefighter EMT.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing the application with the Department of Transportation for grant and committing local shares of funds 23-14.
A resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Department of Transportation, United States of America for a grant under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and a resolution committing the local share of funds necessary to secure a Section 5311, 5339, 5310, 5303, and 5304 grant application. Whereas the Secretary of Transportation is authorized to make grants for mass transportation projects, whereas the contract for financial assistance will impose certain obligations upon the applicant, including the provision by it of the local share of the project cost, and whereas it is required by the U.S. Department of Transportation in accordance with the provisions of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that in connection with the filing of an application for assistance under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the applicant gives an assurance that it will comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Department of Transportation requirements thereunder, whereas it is required by the U.S. Department of Transportation in accordance with the provisions of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, that in connection with the filing of an application for assistance, the applicant gives an assurance that it will comply with Section 504 of Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the U.S. Department of Transportation requirements thereunder, whereas it is required by the U.S. Department of Labor in accordance with the provisions of Section 5333B of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, that in connection with the filing of an application for assistance under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and in the absence of a waiver from the U.S. Department of Labor, the applicant gives an assurance that it will comply with Section 5333B of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the U.S. Department of Labor requirements thereunder, whereas it is the goal of the applicant that disadvantaged business enterprises be utilized to the fullest extent possible in connection with this project, and the definite procedures shall be established and administered to ensure that disadvantaged businesses shall have maximum feasible opportunity to compete for contracts when procuring construction contracts, supplies, equipment contracts, or consultant and other services. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, City of Maysville, Kentucky, hereinafter referred to as applicant's governing board of the City of Maysville, Kentucky, hereinafter referred to as applicant, authorizes the following in regards to Deborah Cottrell, Mayor, hereinafter referred to as agency representative. The agency representative of the applicant is authorized to execute and file an application on behalf of the applicant with the U.S. Department of Transportation to aid in the financing of the capital operating administrative assistant projects described in the attachment. The agency representative is authorized to execute and file with such application an assurance or other document required by the U.S. Department of Transportation, effectuating the purpose of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The agency representative of the applicant is authorized to set forth and execute affirmative minority business policies in connection with the project's procurement needs. That agency representative of the applicant is authorized to set forth and execute with such application and assurance that the applicant will comply with the conditions of Section 5333B warranty as required by the U.S. Department of Labor, effectuating purposes of Section 5333B Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. That agency representative is authorized to furnish such additional information as the U.S. Department of Transportation may require in connection with the application or the project. That agency representative is authorized to execute grant contract agreements on behalf of the applicant with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for aid in the financing of the capital operating administrative assistant projects. That agency representative is authorized to sign all grant, budgets, application, and contract agreements via electronic signature on behalf of the applicant with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. This resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its adoption. Whereas applicant is authorized by KRS 96.189 to apply for and accept grants of money to assist in the implementation of a transit system for transportation planning in the City of Maysville service area. And whereas applicant has applied to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and the Federal Transit Administration of the United States Department of Transportation Act of 1964 in connection with sections 5311, 5339, 5310, 5303, 5304 project. And whereas said applicant requires assurance of the applicant's governing board relative to the commitment of local share for the section 5311, 5339, 5310, 5303, 5304 project. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Board of Commissioners, City of Maysville, Kentucky. One, that the applicant's governing board hereby gives assurance that it is the intent of this body to commit its local share of the funds necessary to support this project to improve transit service in applicant's service area as stated above for a minimum of 5 years from the inception of the project. Said local share of expenses is to be resolved from general fund, including bus fares. 2, that the applicant's governing board hereby gives assurance that it is the intent of this body to continue the operation of the transit service or planning for transit service for a minimum of 5 years.
Thanks. You need a drink?
He'll get one.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am.
Resolution authorizing the application for a TAP grant for sidewalk and streetscape improvements 23-15.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Maysville, Kentucky, authorizing the filing of a fiscal year 2022 transportation alternative application for sidewalk and streetscape improvements, Maysville, Kentucky. Whereas it is necessary and in the public interest that the City Commission of the City of Maysville avail itself of the financial assistance provided by the Transportation Alternatives Program to complete renovations on the above-named project within the community, and whereas it is recognized that the federal state contract for such financial assistance pursuant to said act will impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the city and will require, among other things, 1, approval of a satisfactory application transmitted to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, 2, local obligation and responsibilities in connection with the undertaking and carrying out of the project, including a 20% funding match. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Maysville, State of Kentucky, 1, that the mayor of the City of Maysville be authorized and directed to prepare such certification and to assure full compliance with all certifications and applications outlined above and all other pertinent regulations. 2, the City of Maysville hold in reserve 20% of the proposed project and is hereby approved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute and file such applications with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to provide such additional information and to furnish such documentation as may be required and to act as the authorized correspondent of the city relating to the transportation alternative program.
One small correction that Kelly might need to add. That should probably say fiscal year 2023 at the top.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Let the record reflect that has been changed to fiscal year 2023. I'll get that to you tomorrow, Madam Clerk. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Carl's at the end.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Ordinance amending chapter 30, public records request, second reading, 23-01.
An ordinance amending Code of Ordinances, Chapter 30. Summary. This ordinance amends Code of Ordinances, Section 30.01 to update online request information and request form addresses. That's it.
And that was just where we updated to the current website language in that ordinance. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Is there
Mayor?
anything else to come before the commission?
Yes, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'd like Chief Palmer just to give a brief update on some vehicle enforcement that happened yesterday.
As you know, Commissioners, for the past 2 or 3 years, we've been working diligently with both Kentucky Transportation and Kentucky Vehicle Enforcement to help kind of reduce some of the flow of trucks on our Simon Kenton Bridge. It has been an effort not only with us, but also with Aberdeen Police Department and OSP. We met with senators and representatives last week in Frankfurt and continued the discussion. This again has been a discussion that's been probably 3 years now, both Zoom meetings during COVID and personal meetings. We're starting to get somewhere with it. It has slowed down. Last year, Chief Benjamin with Aberdeen Police Department was able to work with OSP to get some of his guys trained up on some stuff they can do on the Ohio side. And again, it's different laws, Kentucky and Ohio. I reached out to both state police and KVE to see if we could do the same with our officers. And unfortunately, we can't. It's a federal statute on the side and federal laws that allows KVE to mandate that stuff. But what they have done is they have sent down a test kind of probe, and they were in town yesterday and were able to stop. They were here from probably 9 to about 11:30, noonish. Stopped 3 vehicles. The first vehicle they stopped coming across the bridge weighed 74,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So he got a pretty hefty ticket. And the maximum in Kentucky for overweight vehicle based on our bridge that is at 15 tons now, the maximum ticket they can get is a $500 fine. Now, what we also need to educate people on is just because it's a tractor trailer coming across the bridge doesn't mean it's over 15,000 pounds. Everything is aluminum now, tractors, day cabs, whatever. our road coming into town, 62, is a class 3A road, is a 80,000-pound gross vehicle road. And they're allowed to be downtown. The violation comes when they come off the bridge. The violation comes when they go on the bridge if they're overweight. So that being said, KVE is going to continue to work and probably do little blitzes here and there to kind of help do some stuff. They have changed some signage at US 62 and Kentucky 9 coming from the Mays Lick area. The signage has been changed. They are going to update some additional signage to kind of help curb that as well. So, we are working on it. We are diligently trying to do the best we can on it. And with their help and some other stuff that hopefully we can see the continued decrease in truck traffic, especially big truck traffic on the bridge. So,
Good job. Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
I will add that they have started on the engineering part of the bridge to address those repairs, which that funding was in the budget last year, but the actual repair budget wasn't. So we did remind our legislators while we were there that they need to put the money in there to do the actual repairs.
So,
And I do appreciate Senator West and Representative Lawrence for their getting everybody in the same room so that we could make some progress. So I appreciate their efforts on that.
It was a good experience, and we got some good results, I think.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Mayor, that's all I have for you, dude.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood, Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all.